Hi, welcome to day 2 of my sourdough great experiment. I'm Katie. Today is the first day that I will be feeding my sourdough starters, but I'm going to start out first with a quick sterilization tip. These are my 4 spatulas that I'm going to be using. Each one of the samples has its own spatula. This is how I sterilize my spoons. I have them just in a regular mason jar for canning. This is okay to pour hot liquids in here. This I just took off of the stove and I'm going to pour it in. Be right back. All right, just recapping from yesterday, I have 4 different sourdough starters that I'm making just as an experiment to see which recipe will bring out the best sourdough starter. I am using a recipe from thefreshloaf.com by Deborah Wink. She had experimented with using pineapple juice in a sourdough starter. I did not have pineapple juice in my house. I am stuck here because of the coronavirus, but I did have lime juice, so I created a lime juice and water solution and made it a pH of 3.5. This sample, I'm using rye whole wheat flour with the lime juice solution. This sample is using a whole wheat base, but it's actually using all-purpose flour and water to continue with. This is the King Arthur Flour sourdough starter recipe from their website. This is a whole wheat flour with lime juice, and this is Teff flour that I'm going to be using regular bottled water with. So I'm going to start putting the ingredients in. This is 2 tablespoons of rye flour. This is equal weights of all-purpose flour. So this is 70 grams of all-purpose flour and 70 grams of bottled water. This is 2 tablespoons of whole wheat flour. This one is 2 tablespoons of Teff flour. That one gets water. And these 2 get lime juice solution. Now I'm with the King Arthur flour recipe, this one in the middle. I'm only doing a half recipe of this one, and they had called for throwing away half of the starter on day 2, which makes no sense, and I'll tell you why. The reason that you throw away half the starter in the first place is that, once the starter actually gets going, it will increase in volume because the yeast is growing, and you keep feeding it and it keeps increasing in volume, and it will expand beyond the confines of your vessel, but it's not going to be growing outside that amount right now. It shouldn't. So there's really no need to be throwing it away at this time. Okay, I'm back with my sterilized spoons here. And as I was looking at these this evening, I smelled them and I looked at them. They smelled exactly the same as they did yesterday. They looked like blobs of dough and water. They're definitely not sourdough yet. There hasn't been any noticeable difference in these, which is to be expected. The yeast and bacteria are just getting started. Now you'll notice that I have kept these samples in the same containers that I had them in from day one. One of the things that you do need to worry about when you have a sourdough starter is mold growth. If you get mold in your starter, that is obviously not good. And there are lots of healthy things in here that mold like to eat. You know, this is whole wheat, very healthy for us, and also something that mold thinks is healthy. You know, 2 days is fine. You're not going to get mold growth. 3 days, probably okay. I wouldn't go 4 days in the same container unrefrigerated. I left these in my kitchen counter overnight because that's a warm place in my house. All right, this is the King Arthur flour version, and as I had mentioned last time, it is very doughy. The starter, I actually had to take it out and mix it on the counter yesterday. And I'm wondering if they intended to have me do equal volume or equal weights of water and flour, which would have been very different measurements, I think. Oh dear, that is a mess. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I have a big old wooden spoon. The starter from yesterday was really, really thick, and the white flour and water that I put in today is really thin, so I'm gonna have like a bit of a problem trying to incorporate all of that together. Let's see. Recapping what I did today. 2 tablespoons whole wheat rye flour in lime juice, 2 tablespoons whole wheat, just regular flour in lime juice, 2 tablespoons Teff flour, and bottled water. This is the King Arthur flour recipe. I'm going to continue trying to incorporate this. These ones, I will all put them again covered with saran wrap on my kitchen counter overnight, and I will see you again tomorrow.